So hi everyone, I'm Darren. I'm here today representing the whole Our City of Colors team, and I'm here to talk about this awareness program that I started called Our City of Colors, and also here to discuss the question of how does sexual orientation interact with ethnicity to affect health. I would like to start with an anecdote. So about a month ago, I was with my very well-dressed friend who works with me on the Our City of Colors project. We were at the Esso gas station on Davie Street, and two taxi drivers were also there, but it became apparent that they were just on gay old Davie Street to get gas for their taxis. So they glanced over at my friend who is from the same racial background as them. Um, and then one of the taxi drivers said to the other in a different language, thinking that my friend would not understand them, said, "It's disappointing to see people from our community on this street." We think that we should respond to that comment by showing them that we from these communities are not only on Davie Street, but all of Metro Vancouver. The Our City of Colors project has been in production since May of this year. What is Our City of Colors? So we are a grassroots community-based project that aims to promote the visibility of LGBTQ individuals in a variety of linguistic and cultural communities across the Metro Vancouver region. So what my team members and I are doing with the help of others basically is creating and distributing LGBTQ positive images using languages and ideas that speak to different culture groups in Metro Vancouver. We are targeting single quotation ethnic communities because we feel that they are underserved and lack exposure to LGBTQ issues and images. So the four groups that we are targeting for this project are the Chinese, Punjabi, Iranian, and Korean communities. Due to scope and resources, we're not at the moment able to focus on every cultural community in Metro Vancouver, so we picked these four groups due to their demographic salience and population in Metro Vancouver. Also, these happen to be four communities that some of my team members and I have personal experience in coming from these backgrounds. Also, due to scope, when we say that we are dealing with Metro Vancouver, we are limiting ourselves to these cities: Burnaby, Coquitlam, New West, North End, Richmond, Surrey, and Vancouver. And what we mean when we say we are creating and distributing images is that we are making posters to put around local independent businesses, community centers, libraries, bulletin boards, and street posts in the cities mentioned above. So now some background as to why we think this kind of initiative is important and why we feel that it's still necessary in today's multicultural society to spread LGBTQ positive messages with a focus on cultural and ethnic backgrounds. One of my team members found in a 2010 Canadian study that immigrants do have a negative perspective of homosexuality. On top of Canada's studies show that immigrants of US, Belgium, and Australia also have similar negative attitudes towards LGBTQ people. This is reflected in the fact that most, if not all, of the cultural communities that we are focusing on do not have positive words for gay in their respective language, but there are several derogatory terms to refer to describe LGBTQ people. This is the case in some Asian communities, and a study in Australia showed that Muslims face a similar problem linguistically. And bear in mind that there are dozens of Chinese and Iranian languages and dialects alone. Consider, if you will, the word queer in the English language. The English language is relatively progressive in terms of sexual minorities, yet the process of word reappropriation for the word queer is still ongoing. And those who are from just one or two generations before me still might hold some negative connotations with the word and may feel uncomfortable using it. So you can imagine how much longer it will be for derogatory words to start to get reappropriated in languages that either haven't yet started talking about queer issues openly or are only starting to. Furthermore, echoing a lot of observations made by the now defunct Asian Society for the Intervention of AIDS, there are many Asian LGBTQ individuals who feel that they have to abandon their culture in order to become a part of Vancouver's LGBTQ community, and we want to convey the message that this shouldn't be the case and that this isn't the case. Going back to my anecdote earlier about my friend who encountered the taxi drivers at the Davie Street gas station, the taxi drivers talked amongst each other in their own language, thinking that my friend could not understand them. As you can see, it's not just the LGBTQ individual who might feel like they have to abandon their culture to be LGBTQ, but it's also assumed by others that if you are openly gay or lesbian, that you have forgotten your language, your background, and teachings of your culture. It's become easy for people in our target communities to claim that LGBTQ individuals who come from these communities are influenced by a dominating westernized force. It's become easy and almost common practice to make such excuses for why gay people exist within their own cultural communities. As I mentioned before, we found a lot of non-native English-speaking groups in Metro Vancouver experience a lack of LGBTQ related images or lack of exposure to LGBTQ related images, texts, and ideas, and even people who are openly identifying as lesbian or gay. Which brings me to the goals that we've set up for ourselves as the Our City of Colors team. Our main goal is to increase visibility. It was not uncommon in my ESL classes, which were in downtown Vancouver, to have a well-traveled, middle-class, academically intellectual to say to me, "We don't have any gay people in South Korea," or "There are no gay Muslims." So we want to initiate discussion within cultural communities because LGBTQ issues are often overlooked in these communities, as it's easy for people to claim that such issues are irrelevant to their culture if they are only exposed to these issues in a narrow English-dominated context. We also want to promote awareness because the precursor to dealing with issues such as gay bullying, same-sex relationship, marriage rights, and MSM and risky sexual behavior is first acknowledging that LGBTQ people exist. Some issues that occur if we continue to let slide claims such as there are no gay people in blank country where I'm from. Besides the lack of discussion and awareness, it increases the amount of social pressure that some LGBTQ people have to face. For example, when we're talking about a mainstream gay context, if you come out, you can be free from social expectations such as marriage or having children, just for example. But in some Asian cultures, parents still expect you to get married to an opposite gender regardless of your sexuality. This could possibly be because the concept of a same-sex relationship is unseen and unheard of in a positive light to many Asian immigrant families. These families do not have or have little or no exposure to images or role models as the basis for the idea that a healthy gay or lesbian relationship can exist. Even though we have so many LGBTQ positive images, information, media, and materials out there, unless it speaks directly to these underserved community, they do not get the exposure. To the LGBTQ individual, these social pressures can lead to isolation from lack of family support or support from their community and even support from the LGBTQ community if they don't feel comfortable identifying with the LGBTQ community. As we all know, this can greatly affect someone's self-esteem. Then there's also the issue of reaching out to resources. Because of the language barrier and their own comfort level, some LGBTQ people in our target communities who are not native English speakers may have a hard time getting the health care that they need if their community is not supportive of LGBTQ people. Some of my team members and I personally know healthcare workers and PhD holders from our own ethnic backgrounds who hold negative attitudes towards LGBTQ people or towards LGBTQ people in their own professional environments. For example, there are people in these cultural communities that are regarded as doctors by the community that still claim that homosexuality can be treated with therapy, and these are family doctors and general physicians. So to help combat these issues that I've mentioned, we created these posters that are catered and targeted to specific cultural communities in terms of language and people. With these posters, we are using our target language's own native, we are using our target community's own native languages, not only for the sake of immigrant and newcomers who can't read English, but for those who are bilingual and multilingual, because when you're speaking to someone in their native language, they know that you're speaking to them. In all of our posters, we've tried to add a cultural element specific to each culture. So, for example, in one of our Chinese posters, we mention a Mid-Autumn Festival, which is specific to the Chinese culture. And in this Farsi poster, we make reference to Gugoosh. Does anyone know who Gugoosh is? A Persian pop culture icon. And here's one of our posters in Punjabi and one more in Chinese. So not only did we want to convey the message that queer people of color exist, but they are normal, average people too. Also, you may notice that none of our posters feature explicitly the word gay because, as I mentioned before, a lot of these languages don't yet have a positive connotation behind their word for gay. And due to the Health Initiative Friends generously covering the cost of printing all these posters and more are going to be put up on the walls or bulletin boards of local businesses, community centers, and street posts near you. That's about all I have to say. We're all volunteers working on this grassroots project, but we do consider this a community-based project. So if you are able to support us, we highly welcome that. So if you have time, please check us out on Facebook where you can follow along on our progress of our project and check out more posters that we've created. We highly welcome feedback as well. If you have any ideas or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. And if you would like some copies of these posters to put up around your workplace, please contact us and we can arrange for that. Thank you.